Today I'm going to show you the proper way to sharpen a chainsaw. You're too low. Alright, the fun doesn't stop there. One of the most commonly overlooked things guys do overlook with sharpening is adjusting the height of the depth gauges. That's what these are right here. Some people call them rakers. They're not actually rakers, they're considered depth gauges. This is what prevents the tooth from going too deep and stalling out the saw and biting. As these tips are filed down, or these cutting edges are filed down, there's a taper back, this depth gauge gets higher and higher. We need to address those. So this is a depth gauge, or raker gauge. I'll just call it a raker gauge. So right here, as you can see, what it does is it bridges, it spans these 2 points right there and has a predetermined filing area right there. So anything that sticks up above that on the depth gauge is too high. And traditionally, you've just taken a small file and knock that off a couple times, and you can see there now that that's flat. That's a properly set gauge. That will cut properly. If those are too deep, then the saw will bite too much, and it'll just about, a big saw will want to pull it out of your hand. Again, if it's too tall, it won't cut very well. It's like trying to drive a car with flat tires. It just won't work at all. You'll just have to push and push and push. So like that's how you traditionally do it. It's a tedious process. It takes a long time. But I'm going to show you how we can set up the precision grinder here. I forget what it's called, the filing guide, the Granberg grinder, to do this perfectly and quickly. Now you will still need the gauge that we just used, but we'll take that tooth that we just cut there, or just filed down, and we'll take a Sharpie and we'll color that all black as well as the tooth there, because we need to remember which one it is that is set at the proper height. Now to set up our filing joint, we've got to do a couple things. First thing we're going to do is we're going to change this angle of the grinder right back to 0. So it's 90 degrees parallel to the bar. Next we're going to take this stop right here and we're going to screw that all the way in. That's the little black nut there with a spring on it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bring that tooth that we colored, that rake or that depth gauge, right here. Alright, so right here is the depth gauge that we filed, and we're going to lift this up until when we swing this like a pendulum, we want this right underneath there. We're going to keep swinging that until we just come into contact and then back up. Just barely scratching that surface. Right there, just like that. Just down. Hear that? This is my favorite part of the filing joint because I detest filing depth gauges. So as we go forward here, we're going to bring the tool or the depth gauge right underneath the filing joint, and we're going to turn it on, and we're just going to brush those up there like that. And I just lift this up, and each one of these, we don't have to change it. Each one of these, we're going to knock those off. So I'll kind of demonstrate here to you. This makes it fun again. It really does. Well, talk is cheap. Let's go see how it cuts. So let's take a look at the cut here. You can see that's a big log. I had a 32-inch bar. It wouldn't reach, it went to right here. And what I have when I'm looking at it is a perfectly flat cut with no bind and no twist. So what that tells me is that is a saw, that's a chain that is properly filed. It's consistent on both sides. It was easy to go through. I didn't have any bind, and the proof is right there that it does. The filing joint does a great job sharpening these big chains. And again, we've got nice sawdust. Nice consistent chips. Tells us that we're cutting properly there. My closing thoughts on the filing joint. Would I recommend it? Well, I can tell you this, that I won't be hand filing any more saws. I will be using this on all my chains. It just is so much faster. It's so much more precise. It's so much more enjoyable to use. And at first I thought, well, that's a little odd to make this 12 volt. That's kind of silly. But no, it makes sense now. When I'm out in the field and I'm working with my chainsaw mill, I don't have to worry about inverters or starting a generator. I can clamp it on to the battery and I'm ready to go. I can sharpen in the jig. So I'm a big fan of it. Sharpening your chain is so important, especially if you're milling chainsaw mill, because if your chain is not cutting properly and it's not very sharp, it makes your work so hard. If you're using a sharp chain, it cuts the work down by 75%. So having something like this, I think for me, I oftentimes don't want to go mill lumber just because I don't enjoy the chainsaw, the sharpening process, and this is going to really change that for me. So I'm really happy to find it. I was wondering how long these stones would last, and I sharpened two 32-inch chains, standard chains. They weren't skipped, so they had a lot of teeth, and I don't see a tremendous amount of wear. I think that it's a little bit smaller, but I think you could definitely use it for, I don't know, maybe 4 chains or so, maybe 3. The cooling compound helped a lot. Chainsaw mill. Also, I want to talk about that for a minute. Those of you guys that watch the channel know that I have used the Alaskan chainsaw mill for years, and I really like it. And there's always a lot of people that roll into the comments and say, oh, you need to get rid of that thing. You need to get a wood miser. Well, yeah, who wouldn't like to have a wood miser? But you're talking about $6,500 starting and up on to $10,000, $12,000 to buy something like that. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a professional lumber mill, and I can't afford that, and I can't justify it. But I can justify an Alaskan chainsaw mill rig. The mini mill and the Alaskan, the Mark series. The truth of the matter is that most of us already have a chainsaw, so that's out of it. And with the expenditure of a couple $100s, we can have the chainsaw mill, and we can actually do work and mill timbers with it. So, and that wood miser, that cost doesn't stop there at the end. You've got a big engine that needs a lot of maintenance. You've got bandsaw blades that you have to go through tons of them. And when they sell bandsaw blades in 24 packs, what does that tell you? That's the dirty little secret of the bandsaw sawmill, is that how often you go through those bandsaw blades. And do you think you can sharpen those yourself? No, you can't. But you can sharpen this yourself. So, upcoming videos, if you guys want to see it, give me some feedback. If you'd like to see making up your own whips or your own loops. Granberg graciously sent me a 25-foot roll of ripping chain here, and their tool, their braking tool, where you can make your own whips. Just out of, I thought it was just kind of interesting. I called my local saw shop to have ask them about what it costs to sharpen a chain. They said about, for a chain this length, about $17 to $18. That's a lot of money when you run a lot of chains. $17, $18 each time you want to sharpen your chain, and then like that, you hit a rock and you're done. Plus the downtime. This here is going to run you, I looked online, about $70 for this system right here. And if that's a little bit too steep for you, you can go with the regular file and joint right there. These are about, I saw these online for $25, and you provide your file. Your file simply clamps in here, and you can do the same thing that I showed you, but with just the hand system. And I think for most guys, this would be a great system, especially if you have short chains. $25, the cost of 2 sharpenings, you can have one of these, and then you can have the ability to sharpen your own chainsaws, and you don't have to have any guesswork. You just know exactly where you're going to be. So I'm a big fan of it. So if you guys want to see, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a video of how to make up these whips or these loops. I don't know why I keep calling it a whip. The saw shop I called, as I was saying, I asked for a price for a 25-inch bar, a full skip chain, regular, you know, good Oregon chain. What it costs? And I said $27. $27 for one chainsaw chain. I just went to Bailey's and looked for a roll of this chainsaw. This is ripping, but a regular chainsaw chain, a roll of 25 feet was $80. So you do the math right there. You can, for $80, you could have 12 chains. That's how many you could get out of it if you had a 25-inch bar. 12 chains for $80. That's what? A fourth of the cost. And just by buying that roll one time and buying this breaker tool, you can make up your own, or you could do repairs in the field. So if you'd like to see this, let me know in the comments, and we'll make up some chains and I'll show you the process. But thanks for watching, and thank you for Granberg for sending all of this nice stuff. I don't review, I don't do gear reviews on free product. I just don't do it. I'm offered and contacted every day. Hey, we'll send you all this free stuff if you do a positive review on it. I'm not going to do it. I don't care what it is. I will never do it because we're about integrity here. So if I share something like this with you, this is something that I would buy myself. Granberg gave this to me. I did not pay for this. I did not pay for the chain. They said they wanted to thank me for all of the chainsaw mills that I've sold for them over the years, because I have promoted those and shared those, and I like them. And a lot of you guys have bought that because of my recommendation. So I don't recommend things lightly. If it's something that I'll stand behind it, if it's something that I believe in, and like a good American-made product like this that works well, I've tried it myself, I would use it myself. If I was not given one of these, I would buy it. I would spend $70 and I would pay for this with my own money, without a doubt. So that's that. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video. A very, very good way to sharpen chainsaw blades. Thank you very much to Granberg for donating those and supporting the channel. So if you would like to watch some chainsaw mill action or some timber framing where I cut down and mill my own timber and working on timber frame projects, right there, you can click on that video. That'll take you to a playlist of using the Alaska chainsaw mill to mill your very own timbers. And now's a good time, if you haven't already, to click the thumbs up. It's a way for you to show support for the Wranglerstar channel. So with that said, I guess that's all I have. So we'll see you guys on the next video.